It's been a while, but y'all already know what time it is. It's Quora question time. Let's see what we have today. It's been a while. I think it's over a week since I uploaded a video. That's okay. That's okay. Let's get started here. What did someone do in Walmart that made you say, "You gotta be kidding me"? Let's continue on that one. What common financial advice do you disagree with? Skip on that one. Someone sold me a gun with the serial number etched off. What should I do? What is the reason people live alone? Well, I live alone, but let's see what people here say. Um, I live alone because I don't like the noise. So I lived alone. So this is how this one answers. I lived alone mostly. I'm introvert and alone since childhood. I was bad at making friends. I was poor in academics, not even active in sports or any other stuff. I was always humiliated. From then, I made a best friend, and that's myself. I did not look for friends. I didn't feel alone anymore because I had the best person who can listen and bear everything. I was habituated from then and even until now, and I am 28 years old. Hmm. I have less friends, but I have good ones, and that's happy me. Edit 1. Thanks for the 2K upvotes and all the comments and those good wishes for me. I'm happy to know that there are others like me. Yep. It's all about what you prefer. Alright. How much muscles do you lose within a month of no workout? How can I pay off my credit card for debt free? What don't they tell you about renting? Okay, let's see. Let's see what the thing is right here. One thing most people aren't told, but many realize, is that when you're paying rent, you never see that money again. It's gone. So far, you may say, that's common sense. The other half of that is that if instead of renting, you save up and make a down payment on a house, then when you pay the mortgage each month, it goes to a loan and pays down the loan, so your house is turning into an asset. If it's 5 years later and you sell the house to move, you stand a good chance of making some money on the sale. If you just rent for 5 years, then you get nothing back. That is true. Another point is that a lot of people don't take time to read up on rental issues. I understand that we all hope things go well and renting and living in a rental is an everyday occurrence. So we often think, oh, no big deal. I don't need to research all of this. Often that's true, but I really wish tenants would take time to read their lease and ask questions about anything that's not clear. Personally, as a landlord, I prefer tenants who understand their lease and know landlord tenant law for our area. I'm not trying to make a fast buck or cheat anyone with and when a tenant knows rental law, often it saves them from making mistakes that can hurt them. I especially wish tenants better understood issues directly related to rent, since that's where mistakes often happen. Laws vary from state to state, but in my state, for example, I wish tenants knew. 1. I have to treat all tenants equally, so even if you and I get along well, if you don't pay your rent for whatever reason, I have to treat you the same as any other tenant when you don't pay the rent. I can't cut anyone any slack on that. 2. In almost all states, withholding rent, even if it's because the landlord is not making repairs or because of other serious problems, can often lead directly to eviction. Even if the landlord started it by not doing important repairs, once the tenant doesn't pay rent, they and start the eviction process, which usually starts with a late notice. There can there are also there are almost always procedures one can follow for withholding rent. For instance, in Virginia, you need a court order to pay rent in escrow. If you need to withhold rent, find out what the process is in your state and follow it to the letter. 3. Sometimes tenants have a small issue and rather than reporting it, they make they make the repair and deduct the amount from the rent and forward the receipt to the landlord with the rent check. In some states that's okay. In others you have to have the approval of the landlord to do this. And in some states doing this without permission is not legal and is the same as not paying your full rent. Okay, I didn't know that part. That's interesting. 4. If you pay rent late and owe a late fee, pay it as soon as possible. If you don't, when you pay rent next month, the late fee will be deducted from that check and the rest will go to rent. Without going into the full explanation here, that will make part of next month's rent late and you'll owe another late fee. This can lead to late fees piling up and costing a lot of money. So, if your rent is late, be sure to pay the late fee before it's time for next month's rent. Much of this is in lease or in landlord-tenant law for your area. However, number 4 is rarely explained carefully. I see that will cost people hundreds of dollars. Yep, yep, yep. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Why do wealthy people like Mark Zuckerberg live simple lives even though they can afford almost anything they want? If you own a burger shop and the price of beef goes up drastically, you work it into your business model and figure out a way to make it work. Why is it ridiculous to expect the same when the required wage for human labor increases? Mm, let's see. So for that, right, you gotta think. There's two things, a couple factors here to consider, right? So the price of product, which he's talking about here is the meat. So let's say if normally it costs $1 a pound for meat, and then it goes up to $2 a pound of meat, then you probably incorporate that extra dollar or extra cost of meat into the price of the menu. That's natural. Now, if you, it's all about business model as well. Like if you pay a good wage and your prices are good too for the burgers, then you should be good for a long time. And as naturally as inflation occurs, the burger price goes up. You can you'll charge more, and because you're charging more, you'll probably want to let's see, the burger price goes up, so you're charging more, right? However, if the burger price goes up, the labor stays the same, right? But you gotta let me think. So labor stays the same, it's a constant, but every year, well, sometimes some restaurants are nice and give you a raise every year. Give you a raise every year, and maybe they'll probably tell you a cap. You know, they'll probably tell you a cap. It's like if we're not luxury, then this is how much it costs. This is the pay range. Maybe they could tell you up front. Listen, you start off at 15. Work with me 5 years. In 5 years you'll be at 19 or something like that, or something like to that extent, and go from there, right? That's 5 years of loyalty. So in those 5 years, they're giving you a dollar. I mean, sorry, about they give you a $4 boost in 5 years. So yeah, so they can give you that 80 cent boost every year. So that's if you're loyal. Now but then you got to think the price of the product has to go up too. Let's see what this person says. This is such a great question because it highlights that running any business requires trade-offs, and labor isn't special. All in neat little package. To slightly rephrase, you're effectively asking, if burger prices increase dramatically but you can keep selling hamburgers, then why can't you keep operating while paying people dramatically higher required wages? Well, because that doesn't make sense. The first part isn't true. Suppose the private piece goes up dramatically. If your business is specifically selling your super deluxe family recipe burger and you want to keep slinging those burgers, you'll probably try to find some way to make it work because you're in the business of selling hamburgers. And you'll do just that until you can't. There will come a point where you may not be able to figure out a way to make it work. Cost accounting is not difficult math. If the cost of beef is too high, there's nothing you can do. Beef is expensive. Full stop. There aren't any magic strings or loopholes. I was right. I was like, either you're gonna buy that burger for $10 or you're not gonna buy the burger for $10. If the cost of beef rises so much that enough people don't want to pay, say $20 for a burger, perhaps you can't cover your costs. Then you close, and there's not much you can do about it. Then the breaks, kid. Or if you want to avoid closing, you could sell something else that isn't beef. You find a substitute. Maybe become the finest purveyor of grilled cheese and tuna melts this side of Mississippi. But then you're not in the business of selling hamburgers, which violates the presumption in the question. Okay, so let's say you pull a McDonald's. You ditch your family recipe burger that your restaurant is known for, where all your valuable goodwill comes from. You change your product significantly. You go from juicy third pound burger down to the less than 1 ounce of a cooked beef, all at an amazing price of say $8. And so making it work means you've reduced the quantity of the beef you use. Problem is, many consumers probably don't want this burger at this price. They'll buy fewer burgers. Yeah, I wouldn't pay $8 for this. Forget about it. So some burger joints might reduce the amount of beef they use or substitute beef for something else, or both. Unless you want to get into raising beefs, those are pretty much our option. How any particular business will fare in response to these price increases is difficult to say without more information about that business. Restaurant meals in particular tend to have highly elastic demand, meaning that when prices increase dramatically, consumers want much less of them. And if your burger joint just isn't earning you enough profit, you should close up. Now, one mistake people make is to think that all businesses are the same. The increase in prices affect them all the same. Not at all. Some businesses can respond to these changes better than others for different reasons. A change in prices affect businesses at the margin. If you have a business which is struggling to stay open for several reasons, and then you increase prices dramatically, that can be a straw that breaks the camel's back. So back to your question, why is it ridiculous to expect the same when the required wage for human labor increase? It isn't. It's not ridiculous at all. It's completely normal. Labor as a productive input is not special. It is subject to the same basic economic principles, and you should expect that business owners will try to respond with exactly the same strategies. So as long as they can, employers will try to, number one, reduce the amount of labor they need for substitute labor or something else. Here we have automation machines of self-checkouts. Two, if they still can't afford the cost of labor, they will close. If the price of beef rises dramatically, fewer people can sell burgers. If the price of labor rises dramatically, fewer people can employ labor. It's basic economics. There's no secret sauce. Okay, let's see. All right. Why do more and more people think of their jobs as useless? Let's continue. Can I answer this question? After successful login from my PHP page, I redirect the user to an HTML page. How do I get the data from the log user into successful login HTML page? I can do that, but I'm not on a computer. Alright, is Coursera certificate useful? How big is the knowledge gap between undergrad, master's, and PhD students? Is Dan Bilzerian a fraud? Forbes says he charges all his expenses to his company. Dear non-Germans in Germany, why did you choose Germany over the US to get a job despite having a far lower salary in a much smaller house? What mistakes should people not make in life? How much do you make by drop shipping? Which is better, 3 master's degree or 1 PhD? I have a coworker who cheated in an interview take-home coding assignment but was hired. Now most of her scripts are done by someone else at home, and she just presents to work every day. Should it be reported to HR? Who cares about your PhD thesis? As a wealthy person, what are your tips for financial independence? Alright, are computer science major worried that the supply of programming is growing so quickly? I need help getting my PS4 back. It was stolen from me by my friend. I bought it at GameStop and still have the receipt with everything on it. Will this be enough to prove the PS4 is mine in court? What's the best tourist trap you've ever fallen into? You are one of 6 people forced to play Russian roulette with a 6-shot revolver. The cylinder is spun once before you begin, and the revolver is passed from the first person to the last until it fires. Which position would you prefer to be in? Yeah, so the if you go first, the better chance you are to survive because like this person says, the odds keep going lower and slower, and then it'll be like a one. When it finally gets to 2 people, it'll be a 1 in 2 chance, with the 50% chance you might get hit by it. So yeah, I would. Is a computer science degree still valuable and worth it in 2020/21 and for the future? Should I learn it on my own or choose it as a college major? I recommend you learn it on your own. Why am I unable to find a coder who's willing to be well paid to code a text to singing website? Um, what travel hacks have you saved a lot of money? My job offer was rescinded after I already accepted it. It was all done via email. Can I sue the company? I live in Alberta, Canada. What happens when you don't properly screen your tenants? Has Trump reached a fatal inflection point in his presidency, one from which he can no longer recover? What are some signs that shows a person is intelligent and mature? Uh, well, might as well. Let's check it out. Hmm. Signs that you're a mature person are, compared to most people, you are aimless, you are patient, you are sensitive, you are forgiving, you wish true approval, you accept vulnerability, you have deep relationship, you seek learning, you wish to help the world. Also, a couple of web pages I recommend. Very straightforward right there. Hmm. So, okay. I have a PhD degree and was offered a salary of 42,000 euros in Amsterdam to work as a data mining analyst. Besides the PhD, I have no experience with the industry. Is it a good salary to start with? What's that? 42,000 euros? What's that like? 48,000 American dollars? It's meh. It's meh. What are some good ideas that can save your life? What qualities make a person seem strong? Let's see this person's objective opinion on. Subjective opinion of it. This one I don't mind. All right. One, the characteristics of a strong personality is as follows. One, don't feel stressed out at small things. Two, they try to learn from every small things. Three, they try to help others without any self-interest. Yep. Four, they have a heart of gratitude. Five, they try to forgive others and wish good for everyone. Six, they try to spread goodness and positivity. Seven, they are lifelong learners. What would my starting salary be if I had a PhD in machine learning from MIT? Does Udacity nano degree help in landing a job at Google? What are some situations where it's better to remain silent? Okay, this is actually good reading social skills right here. Actually, yeah, I could probably use this as material for a class. All right, number one, don't respond to anyone whose prime motive is to taunt you. Two, when someone is far too emotional up, it's useless to respond to them. Three, with people who are highly reactive to criticism, it would distress them. Four, when someone is offering you constructive criticism. Yep. Five, it's better not to say anything if you have nothing nice to say. Yep. Five, I practice that every day. Six, when you have raised a question, you could learn a lot by listening. Seven, never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level. Eight, when you have no idea what you are talking about, never feel silence for the sake of it. 9. If you're commenting out of jealousy or pride, just be quiet. 10. When you want someone else to grow, it makes sense to hold back. My daughter is in FMLA. She is to return on 6/15. The corporation just placed an advertisement for a job. Is this legal? As a police officer, have you ever pulled over a student driver while they were with an instructor? In what way is different than a normal traffic stop? Why do people isolate themselves? Let's see. This will be the final one, and then we'll call it here. I'll do it for two reasons here, this person says. One, I look like a neat freak and have always been treated badly by other people because of this. I tried for 10 years to do everything I could possibly think of to improve my life and appearance, but I eventually had to give up on that dream, and eventually I was diagnosed with AVPD and chronic depression. So I was placed on disability and no longer had to worry about earning a living, or meeting other people. Two, the other reason is that I don't like to share experience with others, whether I'm reading a good book, watching a film, or listening to music, etc. I do so very intensely with passion, and having someone interrupt and complain that it's time to take out the trash now or that the kids need something, well, it ruins the mood. Call me selfish, but I need to be fully focused on whatever I'm doing in order to enjoy it. And other people only serve as a distraction from that. So I prefer to do things in complete isolation. After that, if someone else has experienced the same thing on their own, we can always have a discussion about it online or whatever. I also don't like people very much. I suppose I've become a misanthrope and after isolating myself for so many years, but I wasn't very fond of people before that either. As soon as you have more than one person in a room, you have the foundation for conflict. That's so true. And whereas I'm not the kind of person to tell others what they should or shouldn't do, most people seem very keen on telling others how they should live their lives. That's true. So rather than spending endless hours justifying why I'd rather keep my own company, I just keep my own company and leave the rest of you to live out your domestic dramas on your own. Wow. Hmm? This person thought it pretty well, this Marcus. But that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for tuning in.